Hello?
Hi, Sid. How are you?
Great, man. Finally, we could hear each other. Yeah, man, we made it there at the end. Yeah. So let's get down to the cricket now after yesterday's weird restream. So, your thoughts overall on the West Indies loss to South Africa? I know you did call it before the series even started. I know there's another test match, but your thoughts?
I think it was a dominant performance from the Proteas. Right from day one, especially with that bowling performance. Nokia was menacing, and he broke the backbone of that top order of the Windies. And then, in Gidi, I was very happy for him. I mean, he came in and just cleaned that lower middle order up. And bowling them out for 97 was quite an achievement. Especially a home team, bowling a home team out for 97. Irrespective of the opposition. I mean, they would be more familiar with conditions than I'd
Hmm.
say the visiting team. But I mean, it seems like the Proteas were playing at home. They felt at home in those conditions, and
Yeah.
to be the case. And then with the batting, I mean, welcome back to form for Quinny. I mean, that was a sensational hundred that he scored, and it single-handedly took the game away from the Windies. I mean, he took his time to get to 50, but I mean, once he got to 50, he just kicked on. And if it wasn't for that final wicket, I think he would have kicked on and probably made 150 plus there. He was looking so good, and it seems like there's some weight off his shoulders now. I mean,
Hmm.
the captaincy burden. I would say obviously it did affect his game quite badly, and we saw it in Pakistan as well. The Pakistan series didn't go well at all. I mean, to be honest, this team didn't play to their potential. This is the
Hmm.
potential that this team is capable of, and
Hmm.
if they showed this potential in Pakistan, I mean, only we can only imagine what the result would have been. It would have been much, much closer than
Hmm.
uh, what we've what we encountered. So I
Yeah.
think all things are looking good, and this is it's a dominant performance from the Proteas. Uh, yeah, it's looking good for the second test.
Yeah. Getting to the second test, all I can say that the West Indies must just have a better pitch for themselves because that pitch was really going to go against them, man. Because if you look at the two attacks, as you had mentioned before the series started, we do have a better bowling attack. So I think they're better off probably playing on a dry deck. I'm not saying it's going to give them any win, but at least they'll get a draw. Better to lose 1-0 than lose 2-0.
Yeah, well, look, that's a sort of wicket where it's very difficult to get a draw. It's not that flat. I mean, it's very lively for the seamers. So it's kind of difficult to actually pinpoint a draw in that sort of. And the weather's been good as well. So I expect a similar sort of track because I don't think the Windies actually favor spin that much. So they
Oh.
they probably need to make some changes. They probably need to make some changes. Probably bring in another uh,
Hmm.
pace bowler and. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe reshuffle that batting lineup because that batting lineup was quite ordinary
Hmm.
in this test match opening. So I mean, didn't get past 200. So that just says it all. Yeah, it
Okay.
was a complete mismatch. I mean, it was a complete mismatch from day one. So I mean, I called it spot on, and then I thought it was going to be a miracle for the Windies to take us to day four, and it turned out this test match was done. Uh,
Yeah, way within 3 days, like probably 2.5 days.
Play two and a half, two and two quarters of a day.
Yeah.
Test match. So,
So you expecting another win for us in the second test, second and final test, I think.
I'm looking at the Proteas and this test ranking that's over their shoulders at the moment.
Mm.
Number seven.
Mm.
They're
Mm.
hurting. This is a team on a
Yeah.
this is a team that's on a mission. And I don't think winning this test match is going to satisfy them enough. I think they
Of
actually want to
course,
go on and
yeah.
win the season quite comfortably.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I expect the Proteas to get the job done, but I expect a little bit better performance from the Windies,
Mm.
and probably
Mm.
make it a little harder for the Proteas in the second Test match.
Yeah.
But having
Yeah.
said that, I think the team is now they're high in confidence now, and I
Yeah.
mean coming back from a defeat of this magnitude, it's going to be hard for the Windies. But everything's looking good in the bowling front. Probably, if they do bat first, they've obviously got to have a different game plan. I would say the Proteas
Mm.
probably
Mm.
be a little bit more cautious, put a price on the wickets, and there's runs to be scored. I mean, the Cock showed that. I mean, there is runs to be scored on this wicket if you apply yourself, and even Chase as well. I mean, he scored 60 in a losing cause, but he applied himself. So there is runs to be scored. You're going to get a good ball. I mean, I don't think there's any
Mm.
batsman that, apart from De Kock, that felt really
Mm.
comfortable on it. So
Mm.
uh, yeah, I expect the Proteas to get the job done in the second test.
Okay, so let's get to the next one. England and New Zealand for the first test. It was a draw, but if that weather didn't come in the way, who knows who would have won it. So your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I mean, one day Pele washed out. That really proved a point in that test match. I mean,
Mhm.
I say Mother Nature had the final say in that sort of result. I mean, it seemed like England, they were playing it safe in that second innings as well, so they didn't really make a fist of that total, and there wasn't enough time for New Zealand to actually push for a result. But
Mm.
uh,
Mm.
judging by what we're seeing in the second test, this has been a really disappointing effort from the home team, especially in that second innings. I mean,
Yeah.
Kittle out for 122. I think that's really disappointing for the England fans and the coaching staff as well. And I'm looking at this England batting lineup. This is one of the not I wouldn't say one of the strongest batting lineups because you've got a you've got a debutant in Bracey that's had a really poor Test match, and there's not a lot of experience there. That's a problem, and they really found wanting against this quality New Zealand bowling attack, and I'd say world class at the moment. At the way they play, and geez, man, how many runs do they need? They need another 22,
Five
so
runs. And then they need about
5 runs.
5 runs now. Yeah.
5 runs. Yeah, I think last time I checked it was 22. So yeah, this is a really poor effort from this England side. I mean, never did I imagine that England would actually collapse the way that they did. But I
Hmm.
think we spoke about it. The conditions really suited New Zealand in that regards because they relied on a lot on swing as well, and minus a guy like Jameson that's not playing this Test match. I mean, you could only imagine the damage that they could have caused in both innings. So I mean, Henry, what a Test match he's having. I would say man of the match at the moment. What do you think? I mean, they say batsmen save Test matches, bowlers win it. So I mean, you've got to
It
take
could
20
go either
wickets, and
way. Yeah. It could go either way
this is
because it depends.
uh,
Yeah.
effort. I personally would give it to Henry because I mean he
Okay.
really he really exposed us with this batting lineup in the second innings. So uh, I mean after two innings, this was looking quite even, Stevens, but this collapse of England from England really just I just say swung this Test match in New Zealand's favor quite comfortably. So
Yeah.
yeah,
At least I can say I've called something right because I was kind of having, I don't know why I thought West Indies were going to at least test us, and I looked a little bit embarrassed, but let's see how they do in the second test. At least I was right about this one, New Zealand giving England a run for their money. I was right about that, so I'll be happy. Oh, yeah. That's
yeah.
funny.
I mean New Zealand they're a side that's when you look at New Zealand, this New Zealand team. I mean, you always associate them with being the underdog, in terms of
Yeah.
getting results against. I would say that the top nations. But um, my one obviously question mark on them was whether they could take 20 wickets against a quality test playing nation away from home. But I would say the team that England played in this test match, especially the batting lineup, actually helped New Zealand in a way to get the result in this test match, because this England batting lineup was really out of sorts and really inexperienced. And I mean, you got two experienced guys on on the sidelines there in Stokes and Butler. But this is the rotation policy that England is obviously uh, deploying this year to keep the players fresh and stuff for the long summer ahead. So I guess it's a win-lose situation for them as well. You're not always gonna get it your own way, and that's one of the sacrifices they're making, because
Yeah.
I mean it's a big year. It's a big year because you've got 5 tests against India in July, and then it's the big one at the end of the year, the Ashes in Australia, which is going to be quite riveting viewing, I would say, and something that I'm looking forward to watching, because I
Mm.
think both teams actually have a lot to prove. I would say both teams have a lot to prove. Uh, England lost badly in India, and then Australia losing to India at home. I think their egos were bruised there as well. So yeah, both teams have a lot to play for, man. And both teams, I would say this is probably the one Ashes where I feel Australia are looking a little vulnerable in the batting lineup, I would say, in
Mm.
the sense that they have
Mm.
a lot of new faces. Whereas England, if they get all their players together, they probably have a much stronger batting lineup than than Australia on paper.
Yeah. Actually, now that I look at the scoreline, they have one more run to get, and they did lose a wicket along the way. So so this will be an 8 wicket win. And
I got this
actually,
wrong.
I
I got
lie.
this
And
wrong.
actually, they've just won now. They've hit a boundary now to win the match. So congrats to New
Okay,
Zealand. I got that
this
right.
is quite an amazing achievement from New Zealand. I mean, to win in
Yeah,
England,
I'm happy for
I
them.
think just, their first Test series win there in like 22 years. So
Sure,
uh,
it's a long time.
yeah, it's a long time, and I don't think the English public will be happy losing to New Zealand. I don't think
But
the English public
then,
will like
yeah,
it.
yeah. But then I did call it, even though it wasn't like the most bullish call, but I had a feeling they were going to do something, and at least I got that right. Until I guess
Yeah, I mean, uh,
yeah,
this New Zealand side really stamped a marker here, because I don't think India. I think India have a real test on their hands here in this World Test Championship final, which is going to be played next week. And yeah, this is going to be some test match, eh? Because this New Zealand
oh yeah.
side has proved.
So what's your prediction on England? I mean, India versus New Zealand for the Test Championship? You expecting New Zealand to win it, or India to still be the favorites and win it?
At the moment, I really can't say that India are the favorites. I think it's quite 50-50, if you ask me, because India have a strong batting lineup, and
Hmm.
they do have good fast bowlers. But I mean, New Zealand have punched above their weight here. They've really
Yeah.
punched above their weight in England and Edgbaston, which is actually the fortress as well in England in terms of test
Hmm.
matches. I don't think they lose to Edgbaston very often. So congratulations to the Black Caps, and congratulations to the Proteas. So to me, my I'd say this one is slightly in New Zealand's favor, 60-40
Hmm.
in New Zealand
Okay.
to win
So
this
you would put your
championship.
money on New Zealand on this one.
I put my money on New Zealand just by the fact that
Okay.
they've actually got to the UK a
Hmm.
little earlier than India, and
Yeah.
acclimatized
Yeah.
and stuff, and they
Hmm.
know exactly what's needed in this Test Championship final. So I feel they're much more prepared than India.
Okay. I think, yeah, I'm kind of similar on you, even though my heart will be on India. So I'll pray that India does win it, because I feel in the longer run, I think India has probably deserved it because they've won everywhere. And yeah, that's pretty much
I'd
my
say I'd say
thought.
just about everywhere, just about everywhere. Not
No, what
in
I mean is like they've won. What I'm comparing it to New Zealand, where they've won away from home, like Australia, and then they've won. I think they've also won in other places, like yeah, they've won in Australia, and that's a big thing, you know. In New Zealand, okay, fine, they
you.
did beat
Are
England,
you
so
referring to India? Are you referring to India?
Yeah, they've won at least in some places
Look,
outside of home. Yeah, and
uh,
okay, fine. Well, New Zealand just won in England, so I guess it's going to be an
look.
interesting argument on this one.
It's a very interesting one. It's a very interesting one. I'd say, India, probably their triumph in Australia is obviously, I would say, unprecedented in terms of in the last 5 years or so. And I know the
Yeah,
Proteas have had an excellent record in Australia over the
yeah,
past 13 years. They've probably been the dominant side in terms of winning
yeah.
in Australia and winning test matches against Australia. But yeah, I mean, this India side is not a side to take lightly as well, So yeah, it's anyone's game, man. It's anyone's game. May the best team
Okay,
win.
yes. Okay, till then, we shall catch up soon.
All right, so take care. Cheers.
You too.